I'm Carrie Hammond. I work at Intuit. I'm a group marketing manager in the professional tax division. We have desktop products, we have online products, we have what we call attached products, or things that can accelerate your tax businesses, and we're also moving into advisory as well.
So much is happening in the industry. AI,
Huge.
the cloud. And what I find fascinating about the entire landscape, the global economy is really accelerating. You're getting access to people all over the world faster. And yet we have so much data and so much intelligence. And I think in the tax industry, not only is there so much, it's always changing.
It is.
So I happen to know you're working on this ProConnect project.
That's right.
Can you just, for the audience, tell us what ProConnect Tax is and why is it such a special part of the future of the industry?
Absolutely. So we launched ProConnect Tax, about 10 years ago or so. It's a SaaS product, so it's an online version of a professional tax solution where years and years and years, accounting professionals had brick and mortar, establishments. They served local community people who needed to get their taxes done, and they used what was called desktop software. So you had to download all the client stuff. Everyone had to physically bring stuff to the office. Well, the industry has changed and people don't necessarily want to go into offices anymore. And accounting professionals want to market beyond their local jurisdiction, if you will. And so being able to have an online product like ProConnect Tax, you can service customers anywhere in the country. So I can be in Boston, Massachusetts and be serving people in Palo Alto, California. No problem, right? Because I have access to the data, I have access to my customers, and I can respond in real time. And I can even have practitioners that work for me anywhere in the country. Arguably, they could actually be anywhere in the world and be able to access this data and be able to look at everything in real time. So I can be making edits and they can be making edits immediately after. Whereas we used to have to pass files back and forth, right? So it's just changed how we are dynamically working with our customers and working with each other.
You said so much there in terms of customer or experiences in business. I'm going to get a little nerdy here,
Sure.
But one of the things that I find interesting about what you said is if we take being a tax professional, you may have 1, 2, 3, 10, 50 people working together.
Correct.
And to create efficiencies and accuracy, having everybody in the same building is kind of important. But now you've talked about this distributed real-time working together activity. But where I get nerdy is, you also used to be forced to hire the talent that was local to you,
correct.
Who could commute to you. So depending upon your own cities or state's geography, you may not have access to the best talent.
Yeah, you were limited to the pool of people who could drive to the office, right? And now you have access to people anywhere.
So is it a safe leap for me to make in my mind that people who adopt platforms like yours suddenly have an advantage for talent in the country?
Absolutely. And it can be talent on just skill set level. It can be talent also on what you want to pay. A lot of times what you'll find is different people specialize in different things in the tax industry, right? There can be compliance where you're literally just doing 1040s and business and returns and things like that. The new wave is actually about doing advisory and understanding the data behind, what the customers are doing. And how do you, as the advisor, you are the trusted source of the numbers. How do you help take a business to the next level to save more on their taxes or to do more or whatever it is that you need to do? So it's changing how you're relating to your customers and what you're able to offer them. Because if you have a SaaS product and you have different people all over, you're able to expand that knowledge set, have instant access to the data, and relate to your customers on different levels. And if you have efficiencies by being able to immediately be able to take data from QuickBooks, for example, immediately have it go into the tax platform where you're not doing data entry and things like that. You're saving time, you're saving mistakes, and you can spend time really doing value add for your customers. And that's changing the game. So, right, it's not just about doing 120 hours during tax season and just doing return after return after return. It's about creating relationships with your customers to really understand their business and be able to help them save and grow their business, save money and then grow their business, right?
It's like the transformation of going from being a tax preparer to a tax coach or a tax strategist.
Correct.
In customer experience, we often look for leaders who enable personalization. The reason I bring that up is what you've described there is, I know for me, as my business has grown, I've had to actually leave accounting practices to move to a different who had a specialty in, let's say, the kind of growth in my business. So I kept moving. I was responsible for personalizing my own experience by finding the resource.
Right.
And what you have now is a platform that has the ability to let every person who uses your platform tailor and evolve their relationship in a very customized ways for their client.
Absolutely.
And that's new.
Absolutely. And I think it's changing, right? Customers, clients, right, who are using tax professionals also have access to more data, right?
Oh, yeah.
Think about social networks and you see things on TikTok and Instagram and you'll see reels about, hey, did you know you could save on your taxes if you do this? So inevitably you're going to want to call your professional and go, hey, this is crazy, but I saw on TikTok that I can do blank. Can I do that? Can I save money because, I work out of my home? Can I write off part of the square footage of my home? Can I rent out my home and I heard this thing called an industrial. Can I do these different things? So it's creating this kind of push-pull relationship with the clients because they're asking more questions because they have access to more data. And then the accounting professionals are being able to say, wait a minute, I can take it up a notch. They're seeing me as the person who has the information and I can truly provide them the value because I know how to take it. I know how to work these different angles and understand these different laws and rules and strategies. And I can explain what's real and what's not, because not everything obviously we see online is real. And so it's important that you have an advisor who can tell you how to enable some of these different things for either yourself or your business.
ProConnect Tax, it is, just for my research, and I've done a lot of more research on this topic than any one person should. You're the only one that's in the cloud and you're the first mover. And,
that's correct.
And naturally, because you have QuickBooks and you have all these other pieces of Intuit that are larger.
That's correct.
You certainly have a wide reaching and a deep foundation in the industry. Probably not surprising that you would be the first mover to bring it all up into the cloud, add all of this technology capabilities to go to market. So that's probably not what's surprising to me. What's more surprising is no one else is doing it yet. And why is that?
Little by little, they're doing it because it's about the code, right, on the back end. And the desktop software that people had been around for years. I mean, obviously, we've been doing taxes for a long time. And the code base is so big. And to recreate that and put it in the cloud is not an easy task, right? And so at Intuit, a big passion of ours is talking to our customers and understanding their needs. And we heard years and years ago, as people went and started doing online banking and more things were online, we realized our practitioners also wanted to do that, right? To expand for staffing reasons, to be able to have instant access data, not literally passing folders from one desk to the other, which is what they used to do. And the needs were changing. And so we had to find solutions that met those needs. So we invested years ago in order to figure out, what are the biggest parts of our different pieces of software, whether it was accounting or tax, what are the most used parts of it? And that's what we're going to start with and build this pieces of software. And so we've been doing online for quite a while now and continue to make it more robust and more accessible, faster, using more and more data and being able to use AI to make it so that the software is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you, right? So you don't have to constantly just be in there moving numbers around. We want the software to be your partner in these solutions, and being able to have it SaaS products, you can do that.
Not very many organizations have the history of compliance and legal understanding to create products that can do this kind of work. That's an entirely different asset in the Intuit universe that many others don't. And I imagine you've done some pretty amazing things to protect people in the cloud.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's imperative that we keep the data safe, right? All of our backend stuff, it's all literally like bank level encryption because our data is our asset, right? We have to make sure that people feel comfortable. This is people's livelihoods. We have to make sure that people aren't going to be able to just easily get into other people's data and their financial information, right? And so that's imperative, and that's table stakes with regards to the products. So on the back end, we make sure that we have, 2 different locations is where we store our data, and we make sure that we're constantly checking it so that nothing's getting accessed.
I'm also a QuickBooks customer.
Yes,
we
good.
use it.
Thank you.
We use it for our business. When you talk about this is people's livelihoods, we were talking about safety and compliance, but also we moved over to QuickBooks and we moved over to your platforms because it makes it easier for us to, we also collaborate across the country. We like the ability for your banking level encryption to be connected so that we can do transactions, send invoices, make all of the halo parts of our business and our clients work easier and better from our phones, everything.
Absolutely.
ProConnect Tax is doing that for firms, though. Walk us through what are the coolest things about this in 2024 for ProConnect Tax?
Yeah,
the best customer experience.
Yeah, right. And so obviously being able to access software from anywhere. But one of the biggest new things, and truly we are the only ones that are doing this right now, is the industry is changing. We are at this tipping point right now, what I was talking about earlier, where accounting professionals are realizing it's not just about doing returns. It's about having that different level of relationship. And so we now have advisory in our software. And before it was about compliance, right? It's getting the numbers in, you're setting the tax, you're meeting your deadlines, et cetera. But in order to change and hit that tipping point and have that different relationship, we need to be able to take the data and understand how do we do advisory. Not everybody understands how to do that. So we're trying to help evolve the business because this is what everyone's talking about, but not everybody really knows how to do it. There's so many different intricacies, whether it's state level or federal level, on exactly how do you take strategies and how do you take data to help those clients. And we've had that now in the software where you literally, the data gets pulled in from QuickBooks, which is then pulled into the tax return. The tax return is then, we can analyze the tax return to understand and offer up, hey, did you know this strategy could be great for these clients? They could save this much money if they enacted these different strategies. So if you can help surface some of those things up, you as the accounting professional can go, all right, well, I need to make sure I understand how that strategy works so that I can talk to my customer about it. But it's hard as a professional if you hadn't been doing advisory for a long time. How do you learn about all these different strategies? So if we can offer up some different strategies that you could utilize for your clients, wouldn't that be amazing for you to be able to go to your client and be like, this is how we can save some money this next year. What about if we do this, this, and this? Let's focus this year on this. Maybe even next year we'll do this one and we can save $10,000 here and $5,000 here. Everybody wants to save money on their taxes. So your clients are going to be very, very interested in any way that you can provide this kind of valued service to them. And we're the only ones doing it.
Sounds like the best customer experience in the industry for sure. I'm so glad you're here to talk about it because this is customer experience and we're curious. You did mention earlier that you're constantly talking to your customers.
Constantly.
You've been doing this for years. Obviously, you heard the ask and you've developed it. Are you at a liberty to say how you listen to your customers, how you get these experience? How do they move through your system and become actual product features, functionalities?
Yeah, we do it a couple of different ways. So one of our foundations is when I got hired at Intuit many, many years ago, is they told us that everything that we do, we're trying to solve customer problems and customer needs and understanding at the foundation of what people are trying to do. And it's interesting. We will literally go to customers and clients' offices and watch them use software. Just sit there quietly in the background. Obviously, with their permission, we sit there and watch them. And we watch them click on different screens and things like that. And then we ask them questions. Well, how did you think about that? What did you think about that experience? People are inherently kind. And they always go, oh, it was great. And you're like, well, wait a minute. I watched you try and click around for 7 minutes trying to clearly find something. And they'll go, oh, well, it wasn't obvious. And then we'll go, oh, all right, wait a second. We need to think about what that customer user experience is because you said it was great, but I saw the look on your face and I watched you click and you couldn't find it. So we know we need to go back to our team and go to our UI team and go, hey guys, customers are having difficulty finding this. How else can we change this experience? Because this is a customer problem. They didn't articulate that to us, but we literally watched it with our own eyes. But we interview customers. I mean, literally on a weekly basis, our teams are tasked with interviewing customers, watching customers, asking them, showing them different experiences. We also do what's called design for delight, where we literally come up with different experiments that are on pieces of paper. And we will put stuff in front of people as we have different ideas. We said, oh, I wonder if this would work. So instead of spending months and months to code things, we test things out in very light ways that if it doesn't work, we literally just rip it up and try something else. So that way we can iterate and learn fast without having to spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars coding things that may not work.
You said so much.
I know, it was a lot. It was a lot.
The empathy part of it really rings true for the customer experience industry. The agile, iterative process is also fantastic. What was going through my mind when you were saying this is, I've seen this trend online, just not in your industry, but across the ecosystem. There is this shift of I think people are a little tired of, all of these sort of get rich quick quasi schemes. I think the internet, I see so many YouTubers talking about get rich overnight with a drop ship business or whatever. Oh. The internet has given us such a great opportunity to share any wild idea we have. But what I have seen as a trend recently is I think we're moving past all of these get rich quick schemes to, I think that trend is dying off. People are moving back into really simple things that make a difference, that are actually helping do a real job. So for instance, you see a lot of Silicon Valley startup money opportunities now shifting over to real basics. Let's just take the money out of new whiz-bang, virtual office scenarios, Uber, all that, and moving it right into things like agriculture, energy, moving it back into these things that are fundamental to who we are as a country that's building. And I think what you're really talking about there is your focus is on something that matters. We all have to file taxes.
Yep.
I think more than ever, the population struggles to keep up or understand our tax codes or understand.
It's complicated.
It's very complicated. And I think the world is hungry, the US especially is hungry for tools that will simplify and make this experience easier for us. I think of my own children. I want them to be able to handle this. And every year taxes come around, I think, thank God I have a CPA and somebody.
Me too.
But my point is, you're really investing in the experiences that make a difference and matter to the everyday person. And I really appreciate that so much for you to be here and talk to us about that, because it's quite an effort for you to transform an industry, to bring the knowledge base up to speed at scale with everyone, give firms access to the knowledge, but also to the premium workforce that can focus on their particular practice.
Yeah.
And to do that in a way that sort of cross-pollinates the clients so that they get the advisory. It's a real great solution to the marketplace. Before we wrap it up, is there anything awesome about the customer experience that I haven't touched on that we should talk about?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day is that we're all people and we all experience different, we want things to be easier. We want things to be tangible, like you were saying, right? I think people are over some of the get rich quick thing. If you're always thinking about your customer first and what their experience is, you're never going to fail. You're just never going to fail. And you don't even, you can put things in front of, you don't have to find an exact person who's paid you money. You can find people to try out things. I give stuff to my husband all the time and I go, use this. And sometimes he'll be like, this makes no sense. I'm like, all right, well, he's a highly educated person. If he's looking at something, he's a human being and he would interact with things. If he can't do it, why would I expect my customer to be able to do it? So start with people that are around you, but always be thinking about what will the customer experience when they're doing these things? And I think one of the things that I always think about is everyone uses their phones all the time. And think about games, right? When you download a game on a phone, a lot of times they have these experiences. They have these little arrows. They go, click here to win this. You're going to click here. But we will put very complicated software out here in the industry. And we just expect people to understand how to do it. We need to make things easier and we have to simplify things to the point where people are going to be able to navigate through them. Because if something is difficult, they're going to give up. That's just human nature. So always be thinking about what is the customer going to experience watch your customers, see what they say. Because again, people are very kind. They'll tell you it's not bad and they don't mind, and they'll do 17 workarounds to get through something. But if you watch them and they're at the core of everything that you do, you will not fail.
Spoken like a true quintessential CX person. I will say, one of the things that inspired me was I saw a YouTuber comparing the different tax platforms, these softwares. ProConnect was, in this YouTuber's video, so elegant and simple. I almost, excuse the metaphor, I don't know how these things work, but it almost felt like it was like the Mac version versus the PC version.
Right. Yeah.
Tax.
Yeah.
And software.
If you look at desktop solutions across the industry, some of the way, literally just what the screens look like that they experience is, you would think that it's 1990, right? It is shocking how different. I mean, when you go and look at it, and like if our children saw some of them, they would be like, what is this thing? There's so many buttons and things that you can click, and it's so difficult to navigate. Where what we try to do is, again, modernize the experience, right? People know they navigate websites every single day. Everyone's online all the time. And so to have a left nav to be able to click on different icons and things like that and make it visually pleasing, meet the customer where they're at. If they experience websites in a certain way, why don't we make our software that way, as opposed to old school where every single thing is a little tab and you have to know where they are and it's little tiny font and whatnot, and everything's sort of like a bland color. It changes your experience of how you use something, right?
Adoption has everything to do with UX. Well, thank you so much. What's on the future? What's ahead on the road for your customer experiences in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, again, is going to be about advisory and taking people along that journey and really have people understand and figure out, how do they want to balance their customer relationships? Do they want to start having maybe possibly less customers and have really rich dialogues and change how they're going to interact with them and interact with the software and make those insights and using data and AI and bringing that stuff forward so that you can deliver that to your customer? Let us have you look like a hero. That's really the ideal way to be able to do that. Because at the end of the day, we want you to make money. We want you to succeed. And so we're really going to continue to push that. We're going to continue to bring AI into our products. We're going to continue to add tax strategies and make them even more robust and get hopefully down to different state levels and things like that. But we really, at the end of the day, just want you to succeed.
I was going to wrap this up, but then you triggered a thought in my mind. So I have a friend who is in charge of customer experience over at H&R Block.
Okay.
And we've been talking for the last couple of years about their transformation. I always feel weird, like when I watch the trends happen, like some people hop on a trend and then they like just miss the one that was behind it, or they've gone down a different direction. But what rings really true is I think Andrew and I have been talking about this for the last 3 years or so. But H&R Block, their whole goal is to make everybody who's in their ecosystem sort of a little bit more educated, and really they also have understood that filling out forms is not the end goal.
It's not.
Right?
Right.
But I almost feel like what you've done is you've sort of leapfrogged over, because rather than focusing on education materials and empowering people, you've sort of automated with AI and put all of this vast complexity into a model so that the technology can solve it for you. So I guess what I'm saying is, your tax firms, they don't have to study a ton more. They don't have to research a ton more. The advisory and the knowledge that's in your platform gives sort of, for lack of a better way to say it, resets every year. And it's like, okay, here's all the new stuff. Yep. Here's your common problem that you're always having with your clients. But when you run it through our machine, it's going to give you a little bit different answer this year than it did last year or the year before, because you've taken your knowledge, your security, your compliance, and your technology all at scale. And you're sort of, in some ways, you're refreshing the entire industry for tax firms every year and the clients of the tax firms who leverage these customer experiences that you're invested in. Is that an overstatement, or am I being a little
No, I think it's fair, and I think it will continue to evolve. As we continue to use AI, we can be faster, right? We can bring more things to the customers at a quicker pace than we used to be able to do, but it is an evolving process, right? And we have to sort of also meet tax laws as when they come.
You're literally redefining a category with the newest technologies, and you're probably one of the very few groups who has the position on this chessboard to have the compliance, the data, the scale,
right,
the security, the advisory, and to be able to keep up. And it has the infrastructure to assimilate the input. Sometimes people, they have to hear it from the horse's mouth to understand that this is really happening. So I appreciate you talking about it.
No, I appreciate it. But if you think about it, Intuit's such a big company, right? But we have the bookkeeping side. So you're in the books every single month and you're understanding where your customers are and doing that. And then you're taking the data, and if you can suck that into the taxes, again, that's less data entry and being able to get it all in there. And then if, again, you can take that, analyze, go through and look at the different numbers and then automate some of that process so that you can then put the tax strategies on top of that. It sort of makes it this end-to-end solution. But again, since it's such a big company that we're able to do that, and it's all data based. Everything has to be based on the data, right? In order to go through these different pieces and parts. But since we have QuickBooks, right? Which is the number one accounting solution in the country. So we have all the businesses and we have the data behind all the different things. And so the more and more that we can use AI to analyze the industries and understand what people are doing and how they're pricing, and without obviously giving away customer information, we can take it and aggregate that data to be able to offer up businesses more information about how to change things and what else is going on in the industry. So little by little, the industry will change, right? Everyone's business is going to change with AI. If you think about it, not just tax or accounting, everyone's businesses, because data is more accessible than it's ever been before. It's at our fingertips. Well, my child can go on to ChatGPT and type something in to offer up information and be able to showcase things. It's a game changer, where we used to have to sit and research and, go to the library and do different things. You don't have to do it. Everything's at your fingertips. And so the more that people expect things at their fingertips, you will have to deliver that as services to your clients.
Fair enough. Carrie, thank you for being a trendsetter in this part of the world and this part of this industry. This was going to be a customer experience episode, but it really reminds me of some of the work I do in other countries. You're really redefining the citizen experience. You're helping bridge that great divide between how we can participate as great citizens and doing our taxes and working with firms, but also you're decreasing that mysteriousness or the distance between how we work. I mean, you're really creating a sort of a new catalyst for the way the country can work more smoothly, which I think, as bad news for you, but as your competitors enter the market, this whole landscape will, I think, become better and better for all of us, at the government and at the common person. But I'm grateful that you being the first mover, I get a chance to talk to you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is great.